Michael Taylor, Monsanto's former attorney, was in charge of policy. It was a Monsanto drug until they sold it off to Eli Lilly this fall because they saw the writing on the wall that it was going down. But we know that the white paper that Michael Taylor wrote while he was the Deputy Commissioner of Policy stated that not only were they not going to require labeling of dairy products that contained RBGH, he was even suggesting that if some dairy were to label it as RBGH free, they should also put the disclaimer that according to the FDA, there's no difference.
Well, they tried to threaten dairies. They tried to threaten dairies, as you know, to stop doing that with a bluff. Yeah. Just like,
and there's something going on in Kansas about that.
All right, stay there. When we come back, we're going to talk about this. But the key here is, with the estrogen hormones in the mimickers in the milk, in the plastic, we can have a tipping point. We can have a tipping point on the melamine, on all of it. We'll be right back.
I hear the train come.
Jeffrey M. Smith is our guest, one of the preeminent experts on GMOs, and not just GMO foods, but the policies around the world and the fight against them. Overwhelmingly, in every poll, it's 85, 95, 99, some polls against these. People know they're bad, especially the cross-species, genetically modified organisms where they put cockroach genes in tomatoes, or for some reason they use cockroaches as one of their favorites. It's such old genetics. Or in salmon. I mean, pig genes, human genes in pigs, approving cloned milk, approving cloned animals, milk from cloned animals. The list just goes on and on. We're going to go back to him in a moment. I hope that you will go to Infowars.com and click on the secure online video and bookstore shopping cart and get Seeds of Deception by Jeffrey Smith, exposing industry and government lies about the safety of genetically engineered foods you're eating. Seeds of Deception, exposing expose by Jeffrey M. Smith, documents significant health dangers of genetically modified GM foods and the intense industry influence of political corruption. These are well done, like textbooks, but beautiful colored pages. I mean, just lavish, very easy to understand, but all the scientific data. We have a Deadly Gamble combo that has the 2 books and the 2 films with the audio CD. In fact, for $19.95, we have the GMO Trilogy DVD CD set. That's probably the best deal, and most people don't read; they watch things. 3-disc set that explains why GMOs, genetically modified organisms, threaten your health, the environment, and future generations. Give this Christmas instead of a GMO fruitcake. Or GMO cotton shirt that has got all sorts of poisons leaching into you. I mean, seriously, folks, go to Infowars.com and support the alternative media, but more importantly, educate yourself, your friends and family, learn how to identify these provenly very dangerous creations that we're eating and consuming and wearing at Infowars.com. Genetic Roulette, the GMO Trilogy, and the Deadly Gamble combo with all of them in it. And then, of course, Seeds of Deception. This is a short segment, but let's continue, sir, with where you left off about tipping points. We're having victory after victory worldwide when we're actually able to reach out and educate the public. This is very encouraging.
Absolutely. With genetically modified foods, the tipping point of consumer rejection in Europe happened in April of 1999 because there's high-profile media coverage on the food safety aspects of GMOs. As a result, within a single week, virtually every major food company committed to stop using GM ingredients for their European brands. So the tipping point caused a swift rejection of GMOs there. Now, what's needed here in order to create the tipping point are 2 fundamental pieces. The first is knowledge of the health dangers of GMOs, and the second is information on how to avoid them. So we have a new non-GMO shopping guide, and I'll be happy to link that over to InfoWars. I'll deal with that after the show.
No, plug your site. Plug your site. People should buy it right now. Plug it.
Okay, they can. It's actually free to look at, and you can also buy it at cost in bundles of 50, so you can give it out to your friends.
Good. So it's free online where you can print it off, but I recommend buying it in bundles. That saves the work and the time. Yes.
Yes. So responsibletechnology.org. Responsibletechnology.org. You can go to our shopping guide, the non-GMO shopping guide. You can look at it online. You can print it out. But we can ship it. We recommend getting these brochures that also talk about the GMO health risks. When you give them out together, the health risks brochures tells people why to avoid GMOs, and the non-GMO shopping guide tells people how.
Very simple,
together,
very simple, only 14 pages long, very well done. Everybody should get these. Go ahead.
And what it does is we're asking doctors to give it out as patient education materials. We're asking religions to give it out to their congregations, parent-teacher organizations to give it out to children so that all the parents know what to buy. And also it's being made available for free through natural food stores as well.
And there's a new film out available, The World According to Monsanto. We're going to be back in 1 minute, or 70 seconds to be precise, with Jeffrey M. Smith. And let's talk about this, Your Milk on Drugs, Just Say No, with our guest when we get back in 1 minute. The fourth and final hour, straight ahead. Strap yourselves in. The estrogen endocrine disruptors that are in many types of plastic and how it's being changed worldwide, but we haven't reached the tipping point here yet. This new film, tell us about The World According to Monsanto.
Well, this is an amazing film. I think that if this film was widely seen in the United States, the tipping point would follow soon after. So we're actually recommending for individuals to host home showing parties and to host free public showings. And we have handout materials that you can give to people after they see this film, because the level of outrage and the level of motivation to be anti-GMO campaigner is greater in the 30 minutes after seeing the film The World According to Monsanto than any time in a person's life. It shows, first of all, the background of this company, Monsanto, whose intention is to replace nature with its genetically engineered, patented creation.
And they brag. I mean, tell the listeners, they brag that they mean to take everything over, so then we don't have a choice.
No, it's absolutely true. I talked to someone who had come back in 1999 from a conference where Arthur Andersen Consulting, who had been Monsanto's consultant, they were also Enron's consultant, of course, they had bragged about that. They had worked with the Monsanto executives, first asking them to describe their ideal future in 15 to 20 years. And the executives described a world in which 100% of all commercial seeds in the world were genetically engineered and patented. And Andersen Consulting worked backwards from that goal to create the strategy and tactics to achieve it. And so their intention is to replace our food with nature. Now, I've talked to a number of people who used to work at Monsanto. One person I spoke to this year, he said about the bovine growth hormone that changes our milk. He said the three scientists that he talked to who were doing the actual food safety studies on the drug themselves switched to organic milk, which doesn't allow the drug, because they were concerned about the potential influence on their health of increased levels of IGF-1, which is linked to cancer. He also told me that other scientists were indicating that they had found adverse effects of feeding their genetically engineered crops to rodents, I don't know if it was mice or rats, and we're trying to figure out how to describe it in such a way that the adverse impacts were not apparent to anyone who might look at the study. So this is and another person told me that he was originally recruited to go to Monsanto and he looked at documents that were done by the former CEO, Robert Shapiro of Monsanto, that glowed about the positive impacts of genetic engineering for health and feeding the world and all that. So he decided to take the job, and when he was in St. Louis, he actually stood up at a meeting of all these new recruits and described all these great things that Robert Shapiro wanted for the world and how great it was that they were working for genetic engineering. He was pulled aside after the meeting by a vice president of Monsanto, and he told me that the vice president said to him, "Now wait a minute, what Robert Shapiro says is one thing, what we do is something else. He's the face man who tells a story. We don't even understand what he's talking about. We're here to make money." Then he discovered that the genetically engineered cotton that was being fed to the dairy cows down the street from him, that was from Monsanto's field trials, that it had a potentially dangerous protein that had been the result of this kind of random, primitive way that they genetically engineer crops. He tried to complain and say this could be endangering the cows and the food supply, and no one in the company listened. Instead, they ostracized him. He tried to blow the whistle to government officials in California, to university professors. No one listened to him, so he left the company saying he's not going to be part of this disaster.
And that's covered in the film. Long segment coming up, plenty of time to get into this. And the big key here is, and we'll talk to Jeffrey M. Smith about this when we get back, is this is a fight for our lives. There are hundreds of GMO foods, but 8 or 9 big main staple crop ones. They're about to go into hundreds and hundreds where basically everything will be GMO. So we either stop it now, and it's already been devastating to all of us. A lot of us are going to probably already die from this, or they take over.